Hello everyone, in a different style of video to what I normally do, I'm going to be giving a live commentary of the Skeld in all of its glory. So today I'm going to give you a general overview of the map and talking about specific rooms, tasks that you'll find in the Skeld, tips for both crewmates and imposters, and just in dealing with this map in general, some of the things you should look out for. This type of video is heavily inspired by Zombie's Guide, which I will show here and link in the description with complete credit to him. It's an absolute beauty to watch. But today I'm going to give my insight on this map and just some of the things I believe you should be aware of in this live commentary style. If you do enjoy this sort of video, please let me know below. Make sure to subscribe just so algorithm is pleased a bit. We'll get this video out to more people like yourself. But yeah, thank you for watching and hopefully you'll enjoy this journey with me. Let's start with just a general overview of the map. I believe you can split the Skeld into 3 sections. You have left, center, and right. Typically, all of your tasks will be in left or right, and the center area sees just a lot of general traffic. The reason I split them up into 3 sections is because for imposters, the vents in these areas are very contained. I'll show that a bit later on, but all you need to know is that if a murder happened in the left side of the map, unlike other maps, you can be almost 98% sure that the imposter was around there, seen around there in some capacity. So, a general overview. The left area contains a lot of your sort of dead zones, I'd say. Obviously, electrical is the biggest one where murders will occur. Security, just because it's such a powerful tool, you'll see a lot of murders in there. You'll also see a lot of venting action between Medbay security and electrical, so it's just something to be out for, but we'll cover that in a bit later on. Center here, you see a lot of high traffic. So, center I'd classify as your cafeteria, storage, admin, and communications. While there's not many tasks there per se, or there might be a few, but not too many of your tasks. But because people are running around from the left side of the map to the right side of the map, you'll have a lot of traffic through the center area. That being said, if you can get a kill in the center area without being caught, it is really nice just because there are so many people who become instantly suspicious. But again, high risk, high reward, you have a lot of people that are going to call you out. You'll see a lot, especially in the start of the rounds, if people have tasks in admin or storage or cafeteria, they'll do it straight away just because cafeteria is the place you'll spawn. Right side of the map, you have weapons, O2, navigation, and shields. Vents link them up all pretty nicely, and it's not too much travel time around this area. I find that a lot of people start the game doing all these tasks, unless they have something like inspect sample. A lot of people will start doing these tasks in the game and then sort of move over to the left of the map as the game progresses, but we'll go over more of that in a minute. This also hosts a lot of your visual tasks, so mainly weapons and shields. You have 1 visual task in Medbay and 1 in storage with garbage chute. I'll show you that in a minute. Alright, so let's start with cafeteria. Naturally, this is where you spawn in the game. This is where your emergency button is. This place sees a lot of traffic and it is possible to lock down this place as an imposter. Very powerful just considering the size of it and the fact that it connects a lot of areas up. Your cafeteria task includes wires all the way up here. I don't have it here. I think I've got wires somewhere else. I've got all the tasks loaded up, sorry. And if you get this wires at the start of the game, I think you should do it just straight away, get it all done with. But if you want to hold on to this wires, just because it is very close to the left side of the map, people are going to be trafficking through here a lot. It's very hard to get a kill up here without with getting away with it pretty much. So it's I prefer to either do these wires immediately, just to be done with it, I don't have to enter cafeteria again, or you save them up as a sort of nice task, just so you, if you do get killed, it's very easy to find the body. That's the thing about cafeteria. If you can get killed if you're going to get killed in cafeteria, do it near the button, do it somewhere near the doors, anything like that. If you get killed up here, a very good chance that your body's just not going to be found, because if you think about it, someone's going to do wires, you can't see past the screen that easily. On the other side of things, we also have download data. This is one of the many places, and I'll be sure to point them out. I think every room has a download data one. Nice simple task just waiting there. But most importantly, we have garbage chute. Garbage chute is one of the visual tasks and it has 2 parts. You can't actually see this task being performed, but this is a requirement to do the next step, which is the actual visual portion of it. In all, cafeteria, very high traffic area. You have a vent there for cafeteria. Personally, it doesn't see much use just because you can be really easily found using this vent. But it's still something to know and something to escape with, I suppose. Alright, heading into weapons here. Naturally, you have weapons as the visual task, and I'll just go over this one real quickly. If you watch the cannon on the side of the screen here, as you complete weapons, it actually fires lasers. So for those of you who are a bit unsure why people talk about weapons all the time for being a visual task, that is why. Anyone can see that it's probably the most obvious of the tasks except in Medbay. The other two are a bit harder to sort of notice. But yeah, so make sure to keep an eye out for this cannon firing, because anyone who's doing it, it's their crewmate. Mind you though, it is really easy to fake this task. So if you have two people doing it at the same time, you don't know which one's actually doing, which one's pretending to do it, or maybe they're both doing it. If you're going to do weapons and be confirmed on weapons, make sure you're the only one near this. That being said, because the pop-up is so large and because you have to shoot 20 asteroids, this vent, it's really easy to quickly vent in and get a kill. That's the one thing with asteroids and weapons, you have to be doing it with someone not only to confirm yourself, but just because you're going to get killed otherwise. Naturally, another upload data here, right on the vent. It is really... it's in a really inconvenient spot, but if you are caught appearing out of a vent, you can always just pretend to be doing this as sort of a last way to sort of get away with it. And naturally we have the power one here, but you have to do the electric one first. Nice and simple flicker switch. Alright, heading into O2 here, we have two tasks. We have garbage chute, again another one as a prerequisite sort of thing. I think I've got them both up. I believe it's only there and there that the garbage chute will spawn. That and cafeteria. If you do spawn with garbage chute, I suggest you just get it done straight away, just so you have part 2 of that task available to you really whenever you need it, and you don't have to do any of this sort of mess. Because if you're claiming a visual task, it's always best to just be able to do that task straight away. Else you get sabotaged, and it's just not fun. You also have filter here. This is one where it's much easier on your mobile device, I think, simply pushing them away. O2 doesn't see too much action unless you're doing a what's it called, an O2 repair. This is one of the places where you have to go, the other one being just there in admin. It doesn't see too much attention, although it is really easily seen into, so not many people die here unless they were trying to fix this task. There is also no vent in this room, so it's very hard to get away with it if a lot of people are in this area. So this is a relatively safe area. And naturally, power to O2 can be done here as well. I forgot to mention the cameras. Yeah, no, I know. I didn't, sorry. So, heading into navigation, first thing everyone will notice is the camera here. This camera is extremely useful, just because it watches this hallway here, it watches sort of the way to O2 and weapons, it watches the way to shields, it also watches the way into navigation, and because you have this vent system here, it's very commonly you'll see people just appear out of navigation with like them not entering it, or you'll see them enter and just not come out. If you're sitting on cameras, I highly suggest you have a look at navigation. Not all the time, but every once in a while, just to see if no one sort of appears, you know. You have wires here. This is a nice one. Navigation is a bit of a hotspot for murders on this side of the map, just because O2 is found really easily. Weapons, yes, it has the vent on top of it, but it's very hard to get away with a kill just because cafeteria is often visited. Shields, probably like a lot more murders happen in communication than shields, and they're just very highly visited just because shields is a visual task. If imposters want to get kills, they'll do it in navigation 98% of the time on this side of the map. So you just have to be careful. And like another one of the reasons behind that is just because they have two vents to gain access into, and it's very easily, able to escape it. And if someone's sitting on this security camera, venting in, getting a kill, venting out becomes really easy. With these tasks, you have very simple ones. Just align the crosshairs, which is always nice. And this one, I believe you just have to drag the ship across. Two very simple, easy tasks that you can get out of the way very quickly. If you have navigation and nothing else that's too pressing on your side of things, I suggest getting navigation done straight away if you're a crew member, just because a lot of murders will happen here. That being said, you might have a electrical divert to navigation task, in which case do electrical, then go to navigation, get it all finished. Plan out your route accordingly is what I'm trying to say. Alright, so heading down, another vent here. Again, this is just a nice, easy, accessible one. I think this one leads to cafeteria. Doesn't see too much use just because you can't really see around these corners. People might walk down or walk up from this way and catch you out. Just be careful when you're using this one. Shields, this is the second visual task, and not many people actually realize what's visual about this. So I want you guys to just look down here at the side of the ship with these two little white bar things are. As you complete shields, they light up. So if you see someone working this little panel here, all of a sudden these light up, confirmed. Great. Perfect. Yeah. Vent here links up to navigation. This is a very common escape route for many people. You just have to be careful as an imposter because always people can just walk in and see you. Nothing more to mention here. You'll have a few murders occur here, but definitely you'll have a lot more navigation. Shields is relatively safe. Communications, on the other hand, relatively isn't. The only tasks you have in here are either communication sabotage, upload data, or divert power. That means, for the most part, no one ever enters here unless they've got some of these tasks, and they're relatively rare considering you have all these other rooms that they could occur in. So, as a crew member, never ever go to this side of the room, because if you do, your body will never be found. No one's going to enter in here, especially just stay out of this side of the room. If you have to do this task, try to stand in the hallway. If you have to do this one, stand in the hallway. If you have to do communications, try to have at least someone there with you so you don't get murdered for it. A very common tactic is to murder in communications when they're trying to fix the communication sabotage. Only problem with that as an imposter is it's very hard to get away with it if you have more than one person going, but because communication sabotage is very low priority, you'll often get away with it in lower player count games. So if you are going into communications, just be on your guard. This is a very big hotspot. Heading over, we'll skip storage till I get back down to it. Let me talk about admin first. Naturally, you have a camera here. This connects up storage, cafeteria to admin. This is a nice one to watch. I wouldn't say it's the biggest priority, but it's definitely one you should keep an eye on just because admin murders do occur every once in a while. It's nice to be able to catch them out with that camera. You have your end to the upload data task here, and this is the end to all the upload data, so everyone will eventually get here at some point. So very high contested spot, you'll see a lot of people entering here. You have the admin console here, which is very nice. I don't think it's too useful, just because it's very hard to pin, it's very hard to use this as evidence. The one case where I'd say it's really good for evidence is if you see someone disappear, then reappear, in a room that has a vent connected to them. Sorry, I shouldn't be pointing at that. I should be pointing at weapons or navigation. Say, for example, this man navigation disappeared and instantly had someone appear in weapons. Yes, that could be coincidence, but more likely, they're vented over there. It's a really nice way to catch out people who do stuff like that. But it does require you to sit on the console a lot, and just because the console is right next to this vent, you're going to get caught out, and you're probably going to get killed if you sit in it the whole game. So just be careful with it. Your second O2 repair is here. This one I would say this is the more commonly visible one than that one, just because it's in the center of the map. Make sure when you're doing oxygen repair, you go like 2 people at least, just because, again, vent, murder, get out of there. You have swipe card here, and I actually haven't made it a task, so I've not done that. Swipe card is a common task, and it's one you'll see straight away. If you have a swipe card, I suggest doing it straight away if you can. And the thing is, everyone spawns in cafeteria, everyone has the same common task. Because swipe card is a common task, if you get it out of the way straight away and everyone else does, anyone who doesn't do this task is an imposter, pretty much. So, for example, in one of my later streams, I had one guy, I think his name was Ferrets. He hanged around here, watched everyone doing swipe card, and immediately I'm like, well, clearly you're an imposter, because if you were a crewmate, you'd be doing swipe card like the rest of us. It's a very nice thing to have at the back of your head, the fact that everyone has to do this. But yeah, I think that sums up admin for the most part. Storage is interesting. If you have to commit murders in sort of the center of the map, storage is the very much the high risk, high reward. That's what, if you had to define center as high risk, high reward, this is the cream of the crop. If you can get away with a murder here, you are pretty good, just because everyone is suspicious around this area. You have wires up here. You also have wires in admin, which I forgot to point out, but you have wires here. This is a very common wire spot, and it's relatively safe. Try to do it in the hallway as always. For general, if you're doing tasks, do them in hallways, do them in places where if you die, your body's going to be really easily found. You have this sort of structure in the middle here which blocks a lot of the sights and running around. You can always circle around this if you think an imposter is chasing you. That's a nice way to get rid of it. Just remember that when you're in this room, it can be really easily locked down. You won't be able to get out. So circle, get away as much as you can. You have the fuel can here, which acts as the refueling station for the fuel engines task. So once you've completed that, you now have to go to either upper engines or lower engines. And once you do upper, you have to go back, refuel, and do lower engines as well. So if you get this task, this is the one. If you're planning your route smart, you do this first. And hopefully you have a few tasks up this way, so as you're doing those tasks like Reactor or something, you can also finish upper engine. Finally, we have garbage chute here, and this is the third visual task. I want you all to pay attention to the little airlock down here. As you complete it, you will see it actually ejects into space. So anyone doing this task when it ejects into space is a-okay. I think because I've set it up twice, it's going to happen twice, yeah. I'm pretty sure multiple people can get this task because it does retract the airlock once you use it. But again, one of the visual tasks and probably the most obscure of the 4 on this map. I don't think many people know about this one. All right. Electrical is next, and every murder occurs in electrical. Let me give you the reasons why. If you're going into electrical, first of all, electrical is a relatively big space. You have this main area here, which is really, which is where the light sabotage repair is, this panel here. But unless you have tasks in electrical, you're not going to see past this point. The tasks in electrical are pretty simple. Most of it's just upload data. I think you have move power, and then the sort of wheelie one. I'm not quite sure what you call it. But the main thing is that you have a vent in electrical. And this vent connects to security and it connects to medbay, which means if you get murdered in electrical back here, first of all, hardly anyone's going to find it. Second of all, you can just vent out into security and medbay. I will talk about venting to medbay in a second because it's not always the best idea, but it's just something to be aware of. You have wires here, which are pretty easy. Wires is like the one task I reckon better on mobile. And you have this one here where you have to line up the brushes? I don't know, I've been learning about motors in physics right now. I think they're brushes. But yeah, the thing is with electrical, and what I prefer to do is I prefer to get electrical done straight out the gate if you can. As soon as you spawn in, if you realize you have 3 tasks in electrical, I prefer to just do it immediately. Just because electrical is often the start point for a lot of tasks. So you saw, you saw data here, that had to be done. You saw wires, that's one of the ones I have to do. I'm pretty sure you have to convert power in this, which is an important one as well. Most of your tasks will start here. It still makes it very much a hotspot, and depending on the lobby, and you might not want to do that, but I prefer to just get them out of the way immediately. Like, that trumps everything else in my opinion. But yeah, just be careful when you're in electrical because most of your murders are going to happen here. It's not fun. That, and you can lock down electrical, yeah. Okay, lower engine. I will probably talk, I might head up to upper engine and talk about that in the same sort of section here. You only have 2 real tasks. First of all, you have divert power, which is nice and easy, just press the button. You then have align engines, and it's pretty simple. You just have to sort of get the lines matching up. This is the first of the align engines. You have to do the second align engines up at upper engine. When you're doing this align engines though, there is a vent here. Not many people realize this, and you can get killed. It's not common it will happen. I don't think many people die here, but just because if you're looking at where I am at now, it's very out of the way. If you can still be seen. There's like a little slither there. But if people aren't paying attention and you get murdered there, it's very unlikely that they're going to find your body. So when you're doing lower engines, just be careful of that and try to do it as quickly as you can, or like sort of do it sort of like here-ish where like they can still see your body. Make sure when you're doing tasks that you're always in some sort of line of sight. Alright, I am going to talk about upper engine really quickly as well. So the second part of the fuel task, get that one out of the way. This doesn't have the problem that lower engines, just because people walk around here often, this will occur. You know, that they'll see your body if you die doing a task here. However, up here, where dummy 6 is, when you're doing this task, there's a vent right here. If you're out of the way, they can sort of get away with the body. Again, if you're doing it in line of sight of the door or something, most likely you'll be okay. But just because there's this vent here, it's really easy to hide a body if you get kills there. And imposters should always look out for kills which are very obscure. That's why I say, if you can, kill in communications. If you can, kill in places where bodies aren't going to be seen, like electrical. Mind you, electrical's just become that big of a joke where murders occur there anyway. Alright, let's talk about Reactor now. Reactor has 2 vents which link up to our engines, so naturally whenever you're doing a reactor task, just be careful of that. You have manifolds here, which is really easy. This just depends on your ability to recognize numbers. Always good to just get that one out of the way. You have Simon Says, and this is probably the longest task in the game, I'd say. The longest one-step task. Simply repeating the colors, and honestly, I probably should be talking right now because knowing me, I can't multitask. So I'm just going to focus for this last one. Alright. Good. Definitely the longest task in the one where you're most exposed. You also have direct power here, but that isn't too much of a big deal. Simon Says is just the biggest sort of, you're probably not gonna make it, you know, if you're not paying attention. Naturally, you have Reactor Sabotage, and this one, like Seismic Stable, is on Mirror. Yes, I think no, is it Polus or Mirror? It's Polus, isn't it? Yeah. You have to have 2 people doing this one. So, my big thing with Reactor Sabotage, first of all, if you're in a situation with 3 people with 2 crewmates and they know you're the imposter, pulling a Reactor Sabotage is easily the best move because you can lock down Cafeteria, you can lock down this area over here. It's very hard to get it, and by the time you've done all that, you'll probably have your kill and you can win the game. Second of all, Reactor Sabotage is very good to bring away people from this side of the map, and O2 is really good to bring away people from this side of the map. A common strategy I find is, say I killed Dummy 4 here, kill them in Reactor, call an O2 Sabotage, drag everyone that way, make it so they find the body a minute later, so it really confuses everyone and there's no real strong case for anything. You could also, and this is the ballsy approach to this, kill Dummy 4, call a thing to Reactor. Now, it depends on the group you're playing with, but a lot of people will naturally assume self-report that you've killed someone, probably, near the, near this area over here. Killed someone, you're responsible for it because clearly you're trying to cover it up. Again, it depends, but you can do that. It's the more ballsy approach, and I don't suggest it for everyone. I don't suggest it if you're bad at lying and covering up, but even if you kill someone, call a sabotage here, vent to somewhere like Medbay, and join a pack that's heading from Cafeteria to Reactor. That makes you look incredibly good as an imposter. It's very hard to pull off. Again, this all depends on your group and your playstyle and the way you talk and convince people, but it is possible. Before we enter security, there is a camera here. I wouldn't bother with this camera, just because if an imposter comes into here, you're already dead. Don't worry about this camera. It's good to catch out people in Reactor, but if you're watching security and distracted, they're gonna kill you first over Reactor ones. I never bother with this camera. Some people might disagree with me on that one. Don't worry about it too much. Wires here, this is a very safe wires, you can do it here. Security, naturally, possibly the most powerful thing in the game. You can see all the security cameras. And when I talk about paying attention, I'm talking about devoting your attention to certain ones. I would keep attention to this one up here, the navigation, very powerful. Probably this one as well, admin. These other 2, don't see too much. There is one case, however, where you'll see a person leave Medbay, which that can be very good. And I'll teach you how to detect that and avoid it, but don't worry about this one too much, because if you see someone enter security, you're probably dead anyway. While you're on security, you have this giant screen in your way. You can't see anyone approaching below you. Most often what will occur, murder and electrical, vent to security or Medbay, get out. While you're looking at cameras, you can't see anyone do that. So a counterplay to this is to fake looking at cameras or do this task instead. They can't tell the difference if they're venting out of here. Finally, because you're distracted on cameras, if anyone vents into there and they're an imposter and they're not on their kill cooldown, you're pretty screwed. Be careful. when you're using security. Because everyone can see the security cameras light up when you're on it, everyone can tell. And the easiest way to counter security as an imposter, call a communication sabotage, be done with it. But be very careful when you're on security, because people will know. Imposters don't like people in security because it's really easy to call them out. And if you do ever see these flashing cameras here as a crewmate, try to stand in areas where they can see them. So if you do die, it's really easy to find out who did it. Alright, and the last thing to mention as a task-specific thing is, a task-specific room is Medbay. Medbay is probably the most well-known room, but there is a tip that not many people know to this one, which I want to explain. But before that, first of all, Inspect Sample is probably the only task. Is it the only task? It's the only task in this map that requires you to start it and then come back later on. So you'll notice here it says, you don't have to wait, take a break, whatever. You start it, 60 seconds later, you can come back, and here it goes, counting down here, and you can finish the task, and you just have to inspect the anomaly. This is also the location of the most obvious visual task. This one, I mean, I've seen videos of people faking this task by standing exactly on them, or like moving away as they're finishing it, but it's very hard to fake. If you have Medbay, save it up for when you need to use it. Mind you, my group of friends don't believe me anymore whenever I say I have Medbay, because I've used that excuse for way too much. But Medbay is super strong, super powerful. If you have it as a task, save it, keep it around. I think sample's almost done, so I'll just show you what this looks like. Sorry, I have to sneeze here. Oh, cough. Jesus. Alright, so you'll see them all pop up. Select the anomaly. This one's red. Yeah. Now, here's my master trick with Medbay. In Among Us, left and right obviously makes your character face left or right. Up or down, however, doesn't change the direction you're looking. And that is a stupidly powerful thing, because all your tasks are on this side, your vents on this side. As a regular crew member, you're not going to be on this side of the room at all. You'll be over here. So as you enter the room, as you finish this task, you turn left, you move up, your character's looking left, you do whatever. If you're an imposter leaving Medbay, you're facing right, because you're on the left side, you're moving right, you're going up. So if you are on cameras, and this is a very important skill and it's very nice, if you're on cameras and you see someone coming out facing right, then it's them, because they've most likely just used the vent, unless they've just done this on the way up, which is a bit ridiculous. But that's a nice little sneaky tactic you can use because of the location of everything in this room. If you're facing right, leaving Medbay, you've most likely vent, and you can obviously, counter that by just saying you've done this. But it's a really easy way to find suspicion. And naturally, if they're facing left, they haven't gone in the vent. They're most likely a crew member. Well, I say most likely, but they could be, just faking tasks in there. But it's a very powerful thing just to be aware of. Alright, I think that's everything. Let me just now go over some imposter things. Imposters on this map, you have the vents are all connected to one another. So this is the first they're all either in groups of 3 or in groups of 2. This is the first link here. You have Cafeteria to this corridor between O2 and Navigation and Shields, and you have Admin. This vent doesn't see too much use just because all of these locations are very high priority areas. Be careful with this one. It's just people will find you if you're using these vents too often. With the right side of the map, however, you have 2 sets of pairs. This one goes to navigation from weapons, and you can walk down and go to shields. One thing you can be called out for on this map is moving into rooms too quickly. So if someone sees you in weapons, then 10 seconds later, someone sees you in shields. Oh, not 10 seconds, sorry, more like 5 seconds later, they see you in shields. It's really easy to be called out. Flip side of that, again, reason why navigation is such a high kill area, someone can come in from weapons, vent, kill you, vent out, appear at shields next. It makes alibis really easy, and it makes pinning your location down at the time of the murder really hard. Communication, again, get murders in here if you can. It is so worth it. Having a look now, I will just point out some of these sabotages. So obviously you got communications down there. This is very underrated communications. I love it. O2, great for splitting up a group if you have a 4-player game and If you have a 4-player scenario with one of you as an imposter, stick with a group of 3, get a kill, blame on the other guy. That's how you win a situation like that, and O2 is perfect for that. You can't do it with Reactor because ideally you're all gathered together. O2 on the other hand, you have to split up to deal with it efficiently. You don't have to. Higher level lobbies realize this and you can all go together or whatever, but it's very hard. You have these lockdown doors. Reason why right, I suppose, doesn't see too much late games just because there's no doors here for imposters. So imposters won't hang around that area too much. You'll see a lot more dead bodies this direction just because they have, toys to play with. Cafeteria and storage are great to keep people on the left moving to the right side of the map or moving out. Electrical, infamous for murders and everything, especially if you got lights going. You can it's really easy to hide to get kills in here, especially because you can just lock down the room, prevent anyone from escaping, get a kill, run away through here. I'll talk about what I meant with this before. Moving out of Medbay, you're facing the right, so just be careful when you're trying to get out of here. But if you commit a murder in either of the 3 of these rooms, you can always vent out, which is great. Venting out here, killing the person on the security, very useful strategy. Coming down here, the vent here doesn't see too much action just because it leads to Reactor. 2 relatively common spots where people will catch you out just because they're not in a great position. This one is probably the least used on the whole map, but it's nice to move around and get out of Reactor if you really need it. And you can always just hide in the vents, I suppose. I think that's about it for Imposters and everything in total. The Skeld is a really fantastic map, and I think, I don't want to say it's the best one because I'm a big fan of the Planet Lava one, but it's definitely the most consistent of the 3 maps. And one of the maps, like probably the most popular map in my opinion. If you can really master the tactics on this map, it is immensely useful. So that has been my live commentary of this map. I hope you guys have all enjoyed. If you want me to talk about the other maps and just give you my tips on those sorts of things, please let me know below. Subscribe as always if you'd like to support my content. It really means a lot. And hopefully I shall see you guys soon. Thank you for watching.